of three between the best as our red Terran in the 5 o'clock position representing FX Open against his opponent in the 11 o'clock position, Hyun, as our blue Zerg representing team SCV Life. Last game, he went for, well, it was a little bit of a peculiar build. He went for this like really early scout into a 15 hatch, into what seemed to be 2-base Muta Rush, but without like significant defenses or scouting. And the best took advantage of it with a 5 racks and executed well. Took out everything Hyun had and hit his timing. Sometimes players like delay a little bit too much with that kind of stuff, and the spine crawlers get done, and then it's a wash. But he executed it well. And wow, same exact build from Hyun. We're seeing him drone scout so early. It seems he just really likes to know for sure exactly what his opponent's doing in the early game, so he doesn't have to build any extra defenses just in case of something like 2 racks.
I would say to that, Hyun, the mid game is important too. You gotta know what your Terran opponent is doing, seemingly at all points in time. Have a Ling outside your opponent's base. Try to send an Overlord in to get some scouting info as I turn the game sounds on. Oopsie daisies. But Iraq's going down from the best. We'll have to see where he goes from here. And this base, this map, I should say, very receptive to fast expand. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the same opening build from the best, provided that it looks like there's no gas. So he's not going to go for that crazy early factory into reactor Hellions, which a lot of Terrans like to do, but might just go for that quick expansion. I'm wondering if Hyun changes his strategy a little bit, maybe upon seeing a fast expand, tries to bust it somehow. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, on this map, it's pretty hard to bust the fast expansions. As you're saying, it's pretty easy to defend with that small ramp. But I wouldn't expect the best to do the same transition. I mean, this map has a pretty long rush distance. They're really wide open down the center. So it would just take so much longer to get there.
Still pretty good,
it seems like it would be, yeah, it's still pretty decent. That's for sure. It's a 2-player map. It's not huge. I mean, it's longer, but it's not a huge rush distance. So it could be. Marines are, like, it's one of those really like metagame moves. Yeah, Marines are. You're right. Those are pretty good units.
They don't cost like a lot of money either.
Yeah, they don't. No gas.
It's not like you're investing.
Yeah.
And you have mules, so you can get a lot more money if you.
I think they're the only unit in the game that is actually ranged and costs no gas, right?
Challenge accepted? Oh, Hellions.
Oh, Queen. Oh, right, Hellions out crop.
But the Terran.
Yeah.
Queen's
like pseudo ranged on the ground.
I'm trying to think any Protoss units.
It's just got long arms. Like Protoss doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
I don't
no,
think
they spit
everything
a thing
costs
out of
gas.
their back. Doesn't a Queen spit something out of their back or something?
Oh yeah, when they shoot air, for sure.
So that's part of it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about ground, but yeah, air true.
Oh, yeah, I can't think of it. Yeah, the 2 gases. That's what I was saying about earlier.
And he's got 4 on the bottom one, but no, not the biggest of deals. Just always like a slight misstep.
Yeah.
Important to note. But yeah, double gas. So the best is maybe mind gaming his opponent just a little bit. Maybe Hyun will be a little bit worried about that type of play this game, and instead, no, it's going to be totally standard. Well, maybe not totally standard. It's not like 3 racks gas infantry, but he's going to be rushing out that factory. Now the question is going to be with this double gas, is he going to be rushing up to mech, or is he just doing that to get a really fast factory and still is going to go infantry, but maybe to get some early timing like, Marine Hellion medevac drop, or some early Banshees, or early Blue Flame, or maybe even just early Siege Tanks for an early Marine tank push. But he is adding on a reactor, so it might even just be as simple as reactor Hellions.
Yeah, just to, again, it's pretty standard, I feel like, just to deny that creep spread. Prevent the third from going down, take that map control from your opponent. But who knows, you can do a lot of stuff to follow it up as well. You can do stuff in combination with it. That's really darn scary. Like additional units being added on, there's Banshee transitions. This could pretty much go anywhere. I think right now the best just trying to get some Hellions out for some early map control and all the other stuff I discussed.
Definitely a good move. Meanwhile, Hyun doing the exact same thing of going quad queen, which is so good in this matchup nowadays. I mean, so many players are going to go reactor Hellion to try to get some map control, prevent creep spread, prevent that third. And if you just have quad queen, all of a sudden the Hellions can't get in, they can't do damage, you have transfuse available later on, you have explosive creep spread, and you have the safety to be able to go get that third base as well. So it's a nice play. We'll see if he does do that again, though, because no, he's going for a macro third hatch, and he's going quad gas. So it looks like Hyun, he was like, all right, last game, you did a silly all-in, I didn't get to do what I wanted. But this game, I'm going to go back and do that same build, and this time I'm going to get to do it the way I want. So we'll get to see what his plan is. I assume it'll be a rush to Muta, but you never know. This doesn't seem like a great Muta map, you know?
Yeah, no,
There's not a lot of airspace.
There's barely any. If the Terran just puts like a couple turrets on the top right side of his main, you know, Howard Muta is going to get to the middle line. Same goes for the bottom left side of the natural expansion. It's really hard to do damage with those mutas. But that being said, the FXOTheBest putting down a really fast third command center. So doing quite the polar opposite of last game as the Hellions poking forward, trying to see what damage they can do. Again, their main goal, keep the creep spread from getting too crazy and prevent that third from going down. You know, some Terran players will let the third go up and then just mold the timing into just killing it. But that being said, I don't think the best is going to do that, considering he got such a fast third base, adding on 2 gases at his natural expansion.
Wow.
So
double gas the natural, man.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty crazy. Is he going to rush up mech then? I mean, that's what I'm wondering about, because he actually has not... Oh, yeah, okay, he is going to go mech. Second factory is already on the way onto that reactor, and this is going to be problematic for the best, because if he doesn't like get a ridiculously fast armory and start getting some Thors, he's simply going to have no anti-air ready when the mutas arrive. I mean,
that's a good point.
He has not been making a lot of Marines. He won't even have combat shield, let alone stim. He was actually cutting a lot of production on that barracks, so he has not been consistently producing them. So this is one of those situations where you don't usually expect a Zerg to rush Muta that quickly on 2 base. If you don't see that coming, add that armory. Well, there we go. Double armories have been added so you can get those upgrades. Will he have the Thor, and will he have enough in time? I mean, Thors are slow. You can still be pretty mobile with mutas and try to harass on both sides. With no eBay, he's not going to be able to throw it on any turrets either.
This reminds me of Jinro's game earlier. You know, using mech on this map, because sure, it's a different matchup, but like the same philosophies can be applied to it. You know, you can pretty much deny Mutalisks with some turrets and maybe a Thor in the right positions. And the third is relatively close. And there's also like not many entrances into your 3 bases. There's only 2, one leading up a ramp and one, you know, there's a decent amount of space, but if you position a lot of tanks there, it's hard for the Zerg to engage that. So, but the problem with that is letting your Zerg get a million bases. So we'll see. It's just interesting to draw that little tie.
Absolutely, it is. Now, it looks like Hyun was a little bit paranoid about what happened in that last game, because this game, he delayed his Spire just a little bit, I believe, by getting that Bane Nest a little bit earlier. He's actually getting Bane speed this time, so he wants to make sure he's able to prepare and defend against any type of early ground play. He's actually getting a second Evo chamber now as well, so he is going to be, you know, really investing into that, into those ground upgrades. He's not just going to be going, you know, mass Muta or something like that. His third hatch is on the way, so he's going to that third base. I love that he got the double gas immediately with that, so he can start mining that gas. Is so important for him. But Spire's about to complete. We're going to have, looks like, actually not that many mutas. He's invested a lot of gas into other stuff, so only like 7 mutas can be able to be made now, not including the upgrades. So that might actually not do that much damage, especially with a Thor already complete here for the best. The best is looking pretty solid right now.
He does have Blue Flame completed as well, and this third base, it's not terribly well defended. The Lings returning though, and the Lings have to be careful trying to get us around, but those aliens do have Blue Flame, which does a lot of damage. And all these Lings, looks like they will end up cleaning these Hellions up. So nice play there by Hyun. And it's important to note, Hyun did in fact scout the 4 factories from his opponent with an Overseer, so he knows exactly what his opponent is doing. That being said, I'm a little bit surprised he's not... I guess he is on 3 bases. I guess that's fine as of right now. Really pumping that drone count, but...
Well,
that's the question. How do you deal with all these Thors, you know, once they get a crazy number?
I don't know.
Gotta trade really efficiently with roaches, I guess. But as of right now, just going to try to do some damage with these mutas.
Oh, nice timing. Comes in right before the turrets are actually able to be completed. So, unfortunately, the best forced to cancel those. Going to lose quite a few SCVs here. Thor trying to come back up, but it is, of course, quite a slow unit. These mutas got to be careful. They're flying right over that turret. It could be repaired. There's also a Thor on the way. Luckily, his mutas are very well spread out, so the Thor not going to do too much splash damage. Lots of SCVs going down right now. We're up to 14 workers killed, but was it worth it to lose 4 mutas? I don't know, man. We're at 78 drones to 42 SCVs, so it certainly seems like it right now. But keep in mind that our Terran, the best, is actually on 3 base. He can triple produce SCVs, triple mule. So I don't think he's in that bad of a position right now.
I would agree. And the best, or Hyun, I should say, doing the proper thing, getting hatcheries both sides of the map. That's really important when you're playing against mech play, because it's not the most mobile unit composition in the world, except for those Hellions. But have some static defense at those bases, have maybe some mutas, just making sure to have that map control. Make sure you know where those Hellions are. Maybe position some roaches there as well. And it looks like we're getting drop. Hyun is getting drop right now. So I'm wondering how he's going to utilize that. I mean, it could be a nifty decision to try to drop on top of a siege tank line that can be very effective. On top of the Thors as well. We'll see. It's a pretty interesting play.
I was also wondering about like what the best is doing with his turret placement, because usually we'll see players put a couple turrets right next to each other as opposed to spreading them out. It's almost as if he's playing like TVT style, setting up a turret ring. But I think he's actually anticipating drop. Drop can be so common you know, against mech play because the mech is so immobile.
Yes.
If you just kind of counterattack with drops, you don't have to go in through that little choke point in the natural. You can just drop right into the main. Hellion's though going over to that fourth base of Hyun. Unfortunately, there's no drones there. So many roaches are out, so he's going to be forced back. He realizes he's up against a pretty high roach count composition, and Hyun actually didn't rebuild mutas. So those mutas kind of forced the unit composition from the best. They just did a little bit of harass, kept the best from really being aggressive, but he's not committing that unit composition, which I really like. He's actually just going, you know, almost pure roach right now, which I mean, roaches are good. Roaches are good, don't get me wrong, but if you go absolute pure roach and don't go something like roach ling, roach baneling, something in there,
Yeah.
you can get punished pretty hard if your opponent has enough siege tanks and Thors.
Here come the overlords, marching their way, going to be above these roaches. Let's take a look at the defenses that the best has in his main. Couple turrets, couple Thors, but a lot of roaches are going to be able to get on the ground. Keep in mind, most of the best's army is over at his third base, defending the most likely entrance of attack from the Zerg player, considering there's such a large hallway where a Zerg can really have some good surface area. But Hyun loading up in those overlords. How much damage is this going to do, Orb?
I do not know, man. It should do quite a bit, though. I mean, with the tanks out of position, only one Thor in the main, and not a lot of turrets to kill off these overlords very quickly. It should at the very least halt a lot of the best production right now. And here comes the Doom drop, unloading into the main. Oh, this is absolutely brutal to deal with as a mech player. He's trying to get his units up that tiny little ramp. They're so immobile. Hellion's coming in, but of course they're not that effective against these roaches. Nice job just target firing Tech Lab, trying to target fire the command center right now. Interesting choice, though, since it can be lifted.
Yeah.
But he's really shutting down the production of the best at the moment.
Yeah, going for the cost-efficient trade, but I don't think he necessarily wants to lose this entire army. I mean, losing a few and then picking up and getting out of there would be okay. But it looks like he's committing all of them.
He is maxed, and he has a bank, so he could just build these after he loses them. Try to be as efficient as possible. Mech is one of those compositions you need to build up a high count. You can't start losing Thors and tanks like this. You really want to build up towards that max. So Hyun going for efficient trades like this, even if it's slightly not efficient, is excellent for him since he has such an economy. Look at that, 34 more roaches on the way. He can remax almost instantaneously. And now what does the best have? He lost a lot of his production. He doesn't have a single factory on a tech lab anymore, so no more Thors or tanks until he rebuilds those. And he actually didn't even manage to lift his command center, so he lost his main orbital as well. He's just down to 2 orbital commands. Not what you usually want when you're playing mech.
Wow, pretty sloppy from the best in that regard. Zerg player in such a good position. Still a decent amount of tanks on the field, but again, lost quite a few of those Thors. Hyun going straight into the natural expansion, or at least attempting to get a target down the supply depot and going to run right by. There's a decent defense in position there for defense for the best. Sieging up those tanks are going to take down those roaches, I think. But again, Hyun going for those cost-efficient trades, as you said, and I don't know, man. He's down to 130. Still has a decent bank. Has a bunch of bases. Doing what he has to do, I think.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely doing pretty well. I mean in terms of defense and everything, but I'm so worried for the best right now in terms of just look how low his siege tank count is. Like if you only have 6 siege tanks and your opponent is just constantly maxing on roaches. I mean, granted, Hyun is getting a little ahead of himself right now. He's starting to get a little bit inefficient. Units lost tab and everything, but he's still doing great damage. Look at that, even delaying the command center in the main, the burrow tactics to try to burn scans. Think about how important those scans are when he only has 2 orbitals to drop mules. So, like, it's ridiculous. So Hyun is being extremely efficient here, just doing a great job battering down the best. And if the best can't build up that tank count, eventually Hyun